Ever see someone driving a $70,000 truck while complaining they can't afford groceries? Yeah, me too. And here's the twisted part. They probably make less money than you do. So what's really going on here? I'm about to pull back the curtain on one of the biggest financial traps in America. And I'm not talking about some Wall Street scheme. I'm talking about something sitting in your neighbor's driveway. Stay with me, because what I'm about to show you will change how you see every expensive car on the road. And if this opens your eyes, hit that like button and subscribe, because we're diving deep into something the auto industry definitely doesn't want you to understand. Let me start with a number that should make your jaw drop. The average car payment in America right now, over $700 a month. $700! That's not for a Ferrari. That's for a regular truck bought by a regular person. And for SUVs and pickups, we're talking $900, $1,200, sometimes $1,500 every single month for 6, 7, even 8 years. That's $80,000 over the life of the loan, before insurance, before gas, before anything breaks. We're talking about a payment that rivals what many people pay for rent or mortgage.
Now, you're probably thinking, well, people must be making more money, right? Wrong. Dead wrong. Wages haven't kept up, not even close. The median household income has increased, sure, but nowhere near enough to justify these payments. So how are millions of Americans pulling this off? How are teachers, nurses, mechanics, and retail workers affording vehicles that cost more than the median household income? Here's where it gets dark. The first trick? Loan terms. Remember when car loans were 3 years, maybe 4? Those days are dead. Now we're seeing 6, 7, 8-year loans. Some dealers are pushing 10 years. 10 years for a car loan. That's longer than most people stay at a job. You could have a baby, and they'd be in 4th grade by the time you paid off your truck. The appeal is obvious. Spread that $60,000 truck over 8 years instead of 4, and the monthly payment drops from $1,500 to $900. Looks manageable. That's exactly what they're counting on. They know you're not thinking about total cost. You're thinking about whether you can make the monthly payment. But here's what nobody tells you in that dealership. By stretching that loan, you're not just lowering the payment. You're adding $14,000 in extra costs. $14,000 just for the privilege of paying slowly. That's a down payment on a house. That's a year of college tuition. Gone. And here's the killer. By year 5 or 6, you'll owe way more than that truck is worth. Cars depreciate rapidly. You're trapped. You can't sell it without writing a massive check. You're stuck in negative equity, a financial prison with leather seats. If you're finding this eye-opening, smash that like button and share this with someone who needs to hear it. Second trick, 0% financing. You've seen the ads. 0% APR for qualified buyers. Sounds amazing, right? Free money. Except it's not free. The cost is built into the price. You're either paying full price with 0% or getting a discount with regular interest. Never both. And the people who qualify for 0%, they're usually the same people who could pay cash anyway.
For everyone else, interest rates on these extended loans can be brutal. 5, 6, 7% or higher. Let me give you an example. Financing that $55,000 truck at 6% over 7 years, that's about $600 in interest alone in your first payment. $600 that vanishes, building zero equity, just gone. Now here's where it gets really twisted, the trading game. Someone buys a new car with a 7-year loan. 3 years in, they want something newer, but they still owe more than the car is worth. They're underwater. So what do dealers do? They roll that negative equity into a new loan for an even more expensive vehicle. It's a cycle. You're paying for cars you no longer own while taking on debt for new ones. The loan balance keeps growing even though you're making payments every month. It's a hamster wheel where the faster you run, the further behind you get. I've seen people roll $10,000, $15,000, even $20,000 in negative equity into new loans. They're starting already underwater before they even drive off the lot. And dealers love this. Once you're trapped in negative equity, you become a customer for life. You literally cannot afford to break free without writing a check for thousands just to get to zero. But here's what really gets me, how normalized this has become. People who would never spend $1,200 a month on anything else convince themselves it's reasonable for a car.
Think about it. If someone spent $1,200 monthly on coffee, you'd stage an intervention. On clothes, you'd call it an addiction. But a car? We just nod and say, well, you need reliable transportation. This didn't happen by accident. It's decades of marketing that convinced Americans their vehicle is their identity. Your truck isn't just transportation. It's a statement about who you are. It shows you're successful, hardworking, reliable. And if you're not driving something impressive, what does that say about you? They don't sell cars anymore. They sell lifestyles, dreams, social status. That commercial with the truck climbing mountains, it's not selling transportation. It's selling you the fantasy that you're the kind of person who climbs mountains, even though the closest you get to off-roading is parking on grass. This emotional manipulation makes it easier to justify payments that would otherwise seem insane. You're not just buying a truck, you're buying an identity. Suddenly, that $900 payment feels like an investment in yourself. If you're still watching, hit that subscribe button because we're about to get into how people actually make these payments work.
Let's get real about the mechanics, because even with extended terms, $700 to $1,200 is still massive for most households. Many people are restructuring their entire lives around their car payment. They treat it like a mortgage, like an unmovable expense, and adjust everything else accordingly. I've seen people move to smaller apartments just to afford their dream truck, stay with roommates into their 30s. They'll eat ramen for lunch every day while driving a vehicle worth more than some houses. They skip vacations, avoid restaurants, put off dental work, all to support a payment that eats 25 to 30% of their take-home income. Some take second jobs specifically to cover vehicle expenses. They drive for Uber or deliver food on weekends. And here's the insane part. They're using their expensive truck to generate income to pay for that same truck. It's automotive indentured servitude. Your car becomes both your master and your means of survival. Others raid retirement accounts, taking 401k loans to make down payments or cover repairs. They're borrowing from their future selves to fund their current fantasy. And they don't realize they're sacrificing hundreds of thousands in future wealth for a truck that'll be worthless in 10 years. Then there's the credit card shuffle, putting maintenance, repairs, insurance on credit cards to free up cash for the car payment, using high-interest debt to subsidize transportation. It's like using a blowtorch to light a cigarette. Technically it works, but it's not smart. The most concerning trend? People taking out personal loans or home equity loans to cover down payments. They're leveraging their homes to buy cars. Your house should build wealth. Your car should get you from A to B. When you use your house to fund your car addiction, you've got it backwards. And here's the kicker. Many aren't doing this for just one vehicle. The average household now owns more cars than licensed drivers. Families with 2 or 3 payments simultaneously. Dad's work truck, mom's SUV, maybe a third vehicle. Combined payments exceeding housing costs. These families have created personal auto financing companies, except instead of making money, they're bleeding it monthly. They celebrate paying off one loan while taking on 2 new ones. They measure success by keeping plates spinning, never questioning if they need to spin plates at all. And insurance? Most people completely underestimate it. Insuring a $60,000 truck costs way more than a $20,000 sedan. Add comprehensive, collision, gap insurance, you're looking at $250 to $300 a month per vehicle. For multiple vehicles, $500 monthly, $6,000 a year just to legally drive depreciating assets. Maintenance costs are another shock. Modern trucks are complex machines. When something breaks, and it will, bills are staggering. Simple brake job, $800 to $1,200. Transmission, $5,000 or more. Major engine work, over $10,000. Most people making extreme payments have zero emergency funds for repairs, so they put it on credit cards. The manageable payment becomes the catalyst for a debt spiral. You'll see pristine $70,000 trucks in driveways while people search couch cushions for gas money. It's like wearing a Rolex while living on ramen. Technically impressive, but missing the point. Fuel costs for these massive vehicles can approach what people used to pay for entire car payments. A truck getting 15 miles per gallon with gas at $3 to $5, $400 a month easy. Add road trips, even higher. Now, let's run the real numbers most people never calculate. Someone buys a $55,000 truck with a 7-year loan at 6%. Monthly payment? About 800. Over 7 years, they pay 67,000 total. Insurance at $250 monthly, another 21,000 over 7 years. Fuel at $350 monthly, 29,000. Maintenance and repairs, 15,000 minimum. Total, over $130,000. After 7 years, they own a vehicle worth maybe 15,000 if they're lucky. They paid 130,000 for a $15,000 truck. That's not transportation financing, that's wealth destruction with cup holders and heated seats. Here's the gut punch. If that person invested that $800 monthly payment in a simple index fund at 8% annually, they'd have over $70,000 after 7 years. $70,000, not a depreciating truck, actual wealth, actual financial security. They wouldn't just have avoided the burden, they would have built significant wealth instead of destroying it. But here's the trap that makes this cycle so hard to break. Once someone commits to extreme payments, they develop automotive Stockholm syndrome. They become emotionally attached to their financial captor. The truck becomes their identity, their hard work, their success. Driving something cheaper feels like admitting failure, like accepting lower social status. This emotional attachment makes rational analysis impossible. Suggests they could save hundreds monthly with a reliable used car, and they don't hear strategy. They hear an attack on their self-worth. They'll defend that payment like they're defending their family, even though it's preventing them from actually providing for their family's future. The automotive industry knows this better than you know yourself. They've spent billions researching how to trigger these responses and convert them into signatures. Walk into any dealership. Notice what they don't talk about: total cost of ownership, opportunity cost. Instead, monthly payments, immediate gratification, social status. The sales process overcomes every rational objection. Payment too high? Extend the term. Worried about reliability? Finance an extended warranty. Nervous about depreciation? Don't worry, you'll trade it in for something newer anyway. They've got an answer for everything, and all solutions involve you signing that loan document. So there it is, the complete picture. The mystery isn't a mystery at all.
It's a carefully orchestrated system of extended loan terms that minimize monthly pain while maximizing total cost, emotional manipulation that ties your self-worth to your vehicle, and financial gymnastics that would make circus performers jealous. People aren't actually affording these payments in any sustainable sense. They're just kicking the can down the road while convincing themselves they deserve that shiny truck. They're sacrificing their financial futures, retirement security, children's education, emergency savings, peace of mind, all for a depreciating asset that'll be worthless in a decade. Next time you see someone in a vehicle that costs more than a house, remember they're probably eating. It's a carefully orchestrated system of extended loan terms that minimize monthly pain while maximizing total cost, emotional manipulation that ties your self-worth to your vehicle, and financial gymnastics that would make circus performers jealous. People aren't actually affording these payments in any sustainable sense. They're just kicking the can down the road while convincing themselves they deserve that shiny truck. They're sacrificing their financial futures, retirement security, children's education, emergency savings, peace of mind, all for a depreciating asset that'll be worthless in a decade. Next time you see someone in a vehicle that costs more than a house, remember they're probably eating cereal for dinner to afford it. They're probably one repair away from crisis. They're probably lying awake worried about next month's payment. And maybe that reliable used car in your driveway, the one that's paid off, the one that just quietly gets you where you need to go, maybe it's not looking so bad after all. Maybe you're actually the smart one. Maybe you're actually winning. The automotive industry has created one of the most brilliant wealth extraction systems in modern America. They've convinced millions of people to voluntarily sign up for years of financial stress, to sacrifice their long-term security for short-term status symbols. And the really scary part? Most people don't even realize they're trapped until years later, when they're still making payments on a vehicle that's falling apart, still underwater, still unable to escape without massive financial pain. I've talked to people who've been making car payments continuously for 20 years. 20 years! They finish one loan and immediately roll into another. They've paid enough in car payments to buy a house, multiple houses, but they have nothing to show for it except a garage full of depreciating metal. The system is designed to keep you on the hamster wheel, keep you paying, keep you trapped. Because a customer making payments is a profitable customer. A customer who pays cash or drives paid-off vehicles, that's money the industry isn't making. Think about the last car commercial you saw. Did it talk about reliability, fuel economy, total cost of ownership? Or did it show beautiful people living exciting lives, conquering challenges, turning heads? They're not selling you a vehicle. They're selling you a feeling, an image, a version of yourself that you think you should be. And that's why people sign. Not because the math makes sense, not because they can truly afford it, but because for 30 seconds in that dealership, they felt like the person they want to be.
But here's what I want you to understand. Real success, real wealth, real financial security, it's not impressive. It doesn't turn heads. It doesn't make strangers think you're successful. Real wealth is boring. It's the paid-off car that runs fine. It's the maxed-out retirement account. It's the emergency fund that lets you sleep at night. It's the college fund that's actually growing. It's the freedom to change jobs, take risks, help family, travel, retire early. That's real wealth. And you can't have that while you're trapped in car payments that consume your income. The person driving the 10-year-old Camry with 200,000 miles and $1 million in investments, that person has won the game. They just don't look like they've won because winning doesn't look impressive from the outside. The person in the $80,000 truck with negative equity, maxed credit cards, and zero savings, they look successful, but they're one emergency away from financial catastrophe. So who's really winning? If this video changed how you see car payments, if it opened your eyes to the system, do me a favor. Hit that like button right now. Share this with someone considering that big purchase, someone trapped in the cycle, someone who needs to hear they're not alone. And subscribe because we're going to keep exposing these systems designed to separate you from your money. We're going to keep having the conversations nobody else wants to have. Your future self is watching this with you right now. And that future version of you, 10 or 20 years from now, is either going to thank you for the decisions you make today or wish they could come back and shake some sense into you. Be the person your future self will thank. Because that's worth way more than any truck payment, any status symbol, any temporary feeling of success could ever be. The real flex isn't the car you drive. It's the financial freedom you have, the peace of mind, the options, the security. And you can't buy that at a dealership.